Vaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamutire Nashtaprayeshu Vadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttam Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Nashtike. So continuing with the discussion on Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 10, chapters. Today we're starting new chapter, chapter 74, the deliverance of Shishupal at the Rajsuya sacrifice. Text number 1 onwards. Shri Shukuvacha, Evam Yudhishthiro Raja, Jarasandavadam Vibho, Krishnasya Chanam Bhavam Tam, Shrutva Pritastam Abravit. Shukdev Goswami said, having thus heard of the killing of Jarasandha and also of Almighty Krishna's wonderful power, King Yudhishthira addressed the Lord as follows with great pleasure. So yesterday we discussed how Krishna, Bhima and Arjun, they came back after liberating all the kings who were in the captivity of Jarasandha and sending them properly to their respective kingdoms. So Krishna, Arjun and Bhim, they came back and Yudhishthira Maharaj and welcomed them. And now Yudhishthira Maharaj is addressing them as follows. Shri Yudhishthira Vacha, Yesyustra Lokya Guruva, Sarve Loka Maheshwara, Vahanti Durlabham Labdhava, Shir Seva Anushasanam. Shri Yudhishthira said, all the exalted spiritual masters of the three worlds, together with the inhabitants and rulers of the various planets, carry on their heads your command, which is rarely obtained. Srila Prabhupada says, that Yudhishthira Maharaj says as follows, my dear Krishna, O eternal form of bliss and knowledge, all the exalted directors of the affairs of this material world, including Lord Brahma, Lord Shiva and King Indra, are always eager to receive and carry out orders from you. And whenever they are fortunate enough to receive such orders, they immediately take them and keep them on their heads. So means everybody is subservient to you. Sabhavan Arvindaksho Dinanam Ishamanam Datte Anushasanam Bhumans Tadati Antavidambanam. That you, the lotus-eyed Supreme Lord, accept the orders of wretched fools who presume themselves rulers is a great pretense on your part, all-pervading one. Srila Prabhupada writes, Yudhishthira said, O Krishna, you are unlimited, and although we sometimes think of ourselves as royal kings and rulers of the world and become puffed up over our paltry positions, we are very poor in our hearts. Actually, we are fit to be punished by you, but the wonder is that instead of punishing us, you so kindly and mercifully accept our orders and carry them out properly. We are all very much surprised that your lordship can play the part of an ordinary human being. But we can understand that you are performing these activities just like a dramatic artist. So in a drama, an artist, he just takes up small roles and follows orders of the director. And Krishna is doing just like that. Although he's the Supreme Personality of God, everybody is supposed to follow his orders. Sometimes he follows the orders of his devotees. Nahi ekasya dvitiyasya brahmana paramatmana karma bhirvardhate tejo rasate yatha rave. But of course, the power of the Absolute Truth, the Supreme Soul, the Primeval One without a second, is neither increased nor diminished by his activities, any more than the sun's power is by its movements. Prabhupada writes in the Krishna book that King Yudhishthira said, your real position is always exalted, exactly like that of the sun, which always remains at the same temperature during both the time of its rising and the time of its setting. Although we feel the difference in temperatures because The rising and setting sun, the temperature, because we feel the difference between the rising and setting sun. The temperature of the sun never changes. You're always transcendently equipoised, neither pleased nor disturbed by any condition of material affairs. You're the Supreme Brahma, the personality of Godhead, and for you, there are no relativities. Srila Sridhar Swami quotes a similar statement from Vedic mantras. He is not increased by his activities, nor does he become any lesser. As explained here by King Yudhishthira, the Lord is one without a second. There is no other entity in his supreme category, and thus it is simply by his causeless mercy that he agrees to carry out the orders of his pure devotees, like Maharaj Yudhishthira. There's no other reason. And out of love only, that's it. There is certainly no loss of status for the Supreme Personality of Godhead when he thus extends his causeless mercy to his surrendered devotees. And that's why there are names for him. Achyuta, Avyaya. Avyaya means never. Vyaya means to spend something. Avyaya means you cannot spend him. Means whatever he does, he's not going to go down. His qualities are not going to go down. In fact, they always increase on the other hand. And Achyuta means he doesn't fall down from his position. Na vete ajit bhaktana mamahamiti madhava tvantaveti cha nanadhi vashunam evvakriti. O unconquerable Madhav, even your devotees make no distinctions of I and mine, you and yours. For this is the perverted mentality of animals. Pashun eva vakriti. This is the mentality of animals. An ordinary person thinks, I am so attractive, intelligent, and wealthy that people should simply serve me and do what I want. Why should I obey anyone else? This proud, separatist mentality is also found in animals who battle one another for supremacy. Such a mentality is conspicuously absent in the mind of an advanced devotee, and it's certainly absent in the sublime, omniscient mind of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So this mentality, I and mine, you and yours, which is prevalent all over the universe, all over the world we can see. But Shukdev Goswami says, this is the perverted mentality of animals. Animals think like this. Krishna doesn't, Krishna's devotees don't think like that. So if we are also thinking like that, then we know we should understand our position. Shri Shukavacha, iti uktva yagye kale, vavre yuktan sarit vijaha, Krishnanu modita partho, brahmanan brahmavadina. Shukdev Goswami said, having said this, King Yudhishthira waited until the proper time for the sacrifice was at hand. Then, with Lord Krishna's permission, he selected suitable priests, all expert authorities on the Vedas, to execute the sacrifice. The great Bhagavatam commentator Sridhar Swami explains that the proper time for the sacrifice mentioned here was a spring season. Dvapayano Bharadvaja Sumantor Gotamo Asitaha Vasishthashchevana Kanamo Maitreya Kavashasthiripaha Vishwamitro Vamadeva Sumatir Jamini Kratuhu Pala Parasharo Gargo Vaishampayana Evacha Atharva Kashyapo Dhomyo Ramo Bhargav Asuraha Viti Hotro Madhu Chanda Veeraseno Akrit Vranaha. He selected, so look at all the sages who came to attend the sacrifice performed by Maharaj Yudhishthira. He selected Krishna Dvaipayan, means Vedvyasi, Bharadvaj, Sumantu, Gautam and Asit, along with Vasishtha, Chavan, Kanva, Maitreya, Kavash and Thrita. He also selected Vishwamitra, Vamadev, Sumati, Jaimini, Kritu, Pala, Parashar, as well as Garga, Vaishampayan, Atharva, Kashyap, Dhaumya, Ram of the Bhargavas, Asuri, Vitihotra, Madhuchanda, Veerasena, and Akrita Vrana. Wow. King Yudhishthir invited all these exalted Brahmins to act in different capacities as priests, advisors, and so on. Upuhutas tathachanye Drona Bhishma Kripataya Dhritarashtra Sahasuto Vidurascha Mahamatihi Brahmana Kshatriya Vaishya Shudra Yagya Didrikshavaha Tatreyu Saro Rajano Ragyam Prakriteo Nripaha. O king, others who were invited included Drona, Bhishma, Kripa, Dhritarashtra, and with his sons. Means all the Kurus were there. The wise Vidura and many other Brahmins, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Shudras, all eager to witness the sacrifice. Indeed, all the kings came there with their entourages. So we can only imagine how big the gathering must be there. Tataste deva yajanam brahmana sarvana langalah krishtva tatra yatham nayam dikshayam chakrire niripam. The Brahman priests then plowed the sacrificial ground with golden plowshares and initiated King Yudhishthir for the sacrifice in accordance with the traditions set down by standard authorities. Means everything was done according to the scriptures. Hema kilopa karna varunasya yathapura indradayo lokapala virinchi bhava samyata sagana siddha gandharva vidyadharma horaka munyo yaksha rakshansi khagga kinnara charana rajanascha samahuta rajpatanyascha sarvasha rajasuyam samiyusma Ragya Pandu Sutasya Vai Menire Krishna Bhaktasya Supapannam Vismitaha. The utensils used in the sacrifice were made of gold, just as in ancient Rasviya performed by Lord Varuna. Indra, Brahma, Shiva, and many other planetary rulers, the Siddhas and the Gandharvas, with their entourage, the Vidyadhars, great serpents, sages, Yaksha, Rakshasas, celestial birds, kinnars, charans, and earthly kings, all were invited, and indeed they all came from every direction to the Rajasuya sacrifice of King Yudhishthir, the son of Pandu. They were not in the least astonished to see the opulence of the sacrifice, since it was quite appropriate for a devotee of Lord Krishna. See, this is the power of devotion. Every demigod was there. And from lower planetary system also, Yaksha, Raksha, celestial bird, Nagas, great serpents, everybody was there. Maharaj Yudhishthir was universally famous as a great devotee of Lord Krishna, and thus nothing was impossible for him. And this is the reason the whole battle of Mahabharata was orchestrated, to put Yudhishthir Maharaj on the throne as a king of the world. Otherwise, Yudhishthir Maharaj says at one place that, oh, why so many people got killed just to put me on the throne? Duryodhana was such a great administrator. Why so many people got killed? Well, this was the reason, because he was a great devotee and he was going to rule according to the Shastras to take care of the whole population. And also, this is what we read in first canto, I believe, that when Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling, it was only 5,000 years ago, not too long ago. Of course, historians, modern day historians, they don't go far that back, so they don't mention all this. But when Maharaj Yudhishthira was ruling, the whole world was under him. And there were no no, not any of the three anxieties, Adi Bhautik, Adi Atmik, and Adi Devik Klesha, none of them happened to anybody. Such a powerful ruler, because he was a devotee of Krishna. That's the main criteria. Can you imagine? No Adi Devik Klesha means all the seasons, going at the right time, all over the world, no excessive rain, no droughts, no excessive heat, no excessive cold, nothing, no hurricanes, no tornadoes, nothing. Can we even imagine this kind of situation? Even in one little part of the city, we cannot imagine. And when Yudhishthira Maharaj was ruling, this was the situation all over the world. But now we don't have those kind of rulers, those are kind of kings. And that's why we are suffering more and more and more and more. Aya Jayan Maharajam Yajaka Deva Varchasa Ratsuyena Vidhiva Pracheta Samivam Araha. The priests, as powerful as gods, performed the Rajya sacrifice for King Yudhishthira in accordance with the Vedic injunctions, just as the demigods had previously performed it for Varuna. Sutya Ahanya Vanipalo Yajakan Satspatin Apujyan Mahabhagan Yathavatsu Samahita. On the day of extracting the Soma juice, King Yudhishthira properly and very attentively worshipped the priests and most exalted personalities of the assembly. Srila Prabhupada writes in Krishna book, according to the Vedic system, whenever there is an arrangement for sacrifice, the members participating are offered the juice of the Soma plant, which is a kind of life-giving beverage. Not what they show in the movies or some other places, somras means liquor. No, Prabhupada is a kind of life-giving beverage. On the day for extracting the Soma juice, King Yudhishthira very respectfully received the special priest who had been engaged to detect any mistake in the formalities of the sacrificial procedure. The idea is that the Vedic mantras must be enunciated perfectly and chanted with the proper accent. If the priests who are engaged in this business commit any mistake, the checker or referee priest immediately corrects the procedure, and thus the ritualistic performances are perfectly executed. Unless perfectly executed, a sacrifice cannot yield the desired result. In this age of Kali, there is no such learned Brahman or priest available. Therefore, all such sacrifices are forbidden. The only sacrifice recommended in the Shastras is the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. But those sacrifices, if properly done, they yield immense benefits. And there's so many things could go wrong. And so there was a referee priest or a checker who would make sure all three priests are working properly. Every mantra, not just mantra, every syllable of every word of the mantra had to be chanted perfectly. And then the proper result would be there. It was not just a game of sacrifice. No, it was a very serious affair. In Kali Yuga, that's a problem. I mean, we don't have those kind of Brahmins available, so such sacrifices are forbidden. Only thing this is just chant the Hare Krishna mantra. Even while chanting, we make mistakes. We make mistakes in pronunciation. Maybe those from Indian background, they don't, but from American background, European, Russian, Chinese, all over the world, people are chanting now. So with their background, they make mistakes in pronouncing the names. So once some Brahmins came to Prabhupada. They complained, your disciples, they don't know how to chant, how to pronounce the names properly. Prabhupada said, I know that. But just like a mother, even if the baby cannot even speak, baby just mumbles something, and mother understands what the baby needs. And similarly, Prabhupada said, Krishna knows what they are saying. Krishna knows what they want. So Krishna is taking care of them. Because in chanting of Hare Krishna mantra, we're not doing all this karma kandiya sacrifices. All we are asking Radha and Krishna is to engage us in their service, in their loving service. So whatever improper way, even if we are asking, and not just pronunciation, even if the chanting is not coming from the bottom of our hearts, it's only a lip service, still, Krishna knows. And he engages us in his service, and if he's pleased, he can take us back also. There could be limitations in us, but not any limitations in Krishna. So, but these yagyas that Yudhishthira Maharaj is performing, or other yagyas that have been performed earlier, everything has to be properly done. The chanting of the mantras, the offering of oblations, or whatever, it has to be done properly, very properly. Sadasya grayar hanarava ve vimrashanta sabasada nadya gacchana ekantya sahadeva stada bravit. The members of the assembly then pondered over who among them should be worshipped first. But since there were many personalities qualified for this honor, they were unable to decide. Finally, Sahadev spoke up. Sahadev, the youngest brother. Srila Prabhupada says, another important procedure is that the most exalted personality in the assembly of such a sacrificial ceremony is first offered worship. This particular ceremony is called Agra Puja. Agra means first and Puja means worship. This Agra Puja is similar to the election of a president. In the sacrificial assembly, all the members are very exalted. Some propose to elect one person as a perfect candidate for accepting Agra Puja, and others proposed someone else. So Sahadev spoke up that who is the right recipient. As a great Acharya, Jiva Goswami points out that the members of the assembly were not astonished at the opulence of the sacrifice, since they knew that King Yudhishthira was a devotee of Lord Krishna. Still, the assembly could not select the most deserving candidate for being worshipped first. This indicates that many of the Brahmins present were not fully realized transcendentalists, but rather conventional Brahmins, uncertain of the supreme conclusion of the Vedic wisdom. So further, Sahadev then spoke up. He said, Arhati hi achyutam shreshtyam bhagwan satvatam pati eshve devata sarva deshikala dhanadaya. Sahadev said, certainly it is Achyuta, the supreme personality of Godhead and chief of the Yadavas, who deserves the highest position. In truth, he himself comprises all the demigods worshipped in sacrifice, along with such aspects of the worship as a sacred place, the time, and the paraphernalia. So Krishna, obviously, Krishna deserves the highest position, but it had to come from Sahadev. Yadatmakamidam vishvam kritavascha yadatmakaha agnir ahuteo mantra sankyam yogascha tat yat paraha. एक एवा द्वितीयो असाव एदत् आत्मनिम इदम जगत आत्मनात्म श्रेया सभ्यः सृजति वति हन्त्यजः. This entire universe is founded upon him, as are the great sacrificial performances, with their sacred fires, oblations, and mantras. Sankhya and Yoga both aim toward him, the one without a second. O assembly members, that unborn Lord, relying solely on him, creates, maintains, and destroys this cosmos by his personal energies. And thus the existence of this universe depends on him alone. Vividhani karmani janyan yadveksheya ihate yadeyam sarvam shreyo dharmadi lakshanam. He creates many activities of this world, and thus by his grace the whole world endeavors for the ideals of religiosity, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation. Tasmat Krishnaya mehte diyatam paramarhanam evam cheta sarva bhutanam atmanascharhanam bhavet. Therefore, we should give the highest honor to Krishna, the Supreme Lord. If we do so, we will be honoring all living beings and also our own selves. Sarva bhutatma bhutaya krishnaya ananya darshine deyam shantaya purnaya dattasyanantam anandyam icchata. Anyone who wishes the honor he gives to be reciprocated infinitely should honor Krishna, the perfectly peaceful and perfectly complete soul of all things, all beings, the Supreme Lord who views nothing as separate from himself. Srila Prabhupada writes, Sahadev said, ladies and gentlemen, it is superfluous to speak about Krishna because every one of you exalted personalities knows the Supreme Brahman, Lord Krishna, for whom there are no material differences between body and soul, between energy and energetic, or between one part of the body and another. Since everyone is part and parcel of Krishna, there is no qualitative difference between Krishna and the living entities. Everything is an emanation of Krishna's energies, the material and spiritual energies. So Krishna is present as super soul in every living being, and if we can satisfy him, then automatically every living being becomes satisfied. So I guess we can stop here. Sahadev made his point that Krishna should be the one to receive this Agri Puja, first worship. And that is when fight will start. Not fight, Shishupal. Shishupal will come up with his objection. So anyway, so we'll stop here. See anybody has any questions or comments. Okay, so you all have a safe and wonderful day. Hare Krishna. Jai Shri Ram.